Hello, everyone. Let's begin by imagining a common weekend scene. You walk into a milk tea shop, order your favorite drink, and get ready to pay. In the past, we might instinctively pull a 100 yuan bill from our wallets. But nowadays, more often, we just grab our phones, beep, or even simply scan our faces and the payment is complete. Have you noticed? Paper money, once so familiar in our hands, seems to be quietly fading out. QR code payments and facial recognition have taken over, making transactions more convenient than ever. This shift in payment methods actually reflects a deeper transformation concerning money itself. Money, the very foundation upon which human society operates, has never stopped evolving. From ancient shells and livestock to the digits on our mobile phones today, every change has accompanied advances in social productivity and the crystallization of human wisdom. Today, we'll step into a time tunnel, peel back the fog, and explore the protagonist of this transformation, digital currencies. How did they emerge from nothing to take the stage of history step by step? And what impact will they have on our future? In this lesson, we will mainly cover the following topics. Before our exploration, let's clarify our learning goals for today. 1. Review the evolution of the forms of money and understand how it developed step by step into what we see today. 2. Explore why, in an era where electronic payments are already so advanced, digital currencies like Bitcoin still came into being. What powerful forces drove their emergence? 3. Focus on Bitcoin, the milestone in the development of digital currencies, and learn about the background of its birth, its core technologies, and its profound significance. 4. Reflect on the future of digital currencies. Will they replace paper money? Could it be the ultimate destination of money's evolution? With our goals clear, we can move forward in a more focused way. Before learning the birth of digital currencies, let's take a quick look back at the evolution of money. 1. The era of commodity money, shells, livestock, textiles, and precious metals such as gold, silver, and copper. Core feature. These items have intrinsic value. For example, gold is scarce and stable, but they are inconvenient to carry and difficult to divide. 2. The era of paper money. Paper symbols backed by sovereign credit. Core feature. They are backed by the sovereign credit. They have very little intrinsic value but are convenient for carrying and circulation. The banknotes in our hands are typical examples. 3. The era of electronic money. Digits stored in bank cards, Alipay, and WeChat Pay. Core feature. They are essentially electronic records of bank deposits. The digits rely on the banking system and are, in essence, a digital representation of traditional money. The transaction process requires centralized institutions, banks or payment platforms, to record and clear accounts. Reflection. Given that electronic payments are already so convenient, why did digital currencies like Bitcoin still come into existence? There must be some hidden story behind it. Next, we are about to uncover the answer. Digital currencies did not appear out of thin air. They are the product of both historical demand and technological innovation. Its emergence is mainly driven by 4 key forces. 1. The efficiency bottlenecks and high costs of traditional financial systems. Think about how troublesome it is to send money to relatives or friends abroad. The process is complicated, the fees are high, as multiple banks and clearing institutions are involved, and it often takes several days for the transfer to go through. With global trade and international mobility growing rapidly, such inefficiency and high costs have become a major obstacle. Limitations of centralized systems. Banks and other central institutions require massive human and material resources to maintain their systems, handle transactions, and defend against risks such as fraud or hacking. Ultimately, these costs are passed on to users. And if the system fails, it may cause large-scale service disruptions. 2. The reflection on trust in centralized institutions and power. Impact of the 2008 financial crisis. Originating on Wall Street, it spread across the globe, exposing the fragility of traditional financial systems and the risks of centralized institutions, such as excessive speculation and weak regulation. Trust in banks and in governments' ability to manage money was deeply shaken. Privacy concerns. Centralized institutions hold vast amounts of user transaction and identity data, creating risks of privacy leaks, surveillance, or even account freezes. As a result, people began to seek payment methods that could better protect personal financial privacy. 3. The push of technology. Advances in cryptography and distributed systems. Cryptography lays the foundation of security. Technologies such as asymmetric encryption, public or private keys, and hash functions provide strong guarantees, making it possible to transfer value on the open internet without tampering or forgery. In simple terms, it's like equipping digital assets with an unbreakable safe and a unique digital fingerprint. 4. The spark of ideas. The cypherpunks and visions of new forms of money. As early as the 1980s and 1990s, a group of computer experts and cryptographers who advocated cryptography and privacy protection began exploring how technology could enable anonymous communication and payment systems free from government or corporate control. Their thought experiments and early explorations planted the intellectual seeds that eventually gave birth to Bitcoin. The pain points of traditional finance, low efficiency, high costs, and trust crisis, together with the maturity of technologies such as cryptography and blockchain, and the ideological pursuit of freedom and privacy, jointly created the soil from which digital currencies emerged. They are a technological response and an attempt to solve the shortcomings of existing systems. A groundbreaking moment. The birth of Bitcoin, a milestone in the development of digital currencies. In 2008, a person using the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto published a groundbreaking paper on the cypherpunk mailing list, Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. The core objective was to build a value transfer system that does not rely on centralized institutions, like banks or governments, but instead operates on the principles of cryptography and peer-to-peer, P2P networks, ensuring security, reliability, and efficiency. How was this goal realized? 1. Implementation of blockchain technology. The Bitcoin network successfully applied a distributed ledger, blockchain, in digital currency practices for the first time. It functions like a globally shared, tamper-proof transaction database. 2. Consensus mechanism, proof of work. Through mining, participants solve complex mathematical problems to compete for the right to record transactions and receive Bitcoin as a reward. This process ensures the security of the network, since the cost of malicious behavior is extremely high, and guarantees the fair issuance of new coins. 3. Fixed total supply, 21 million coins. Designed to imitate the scarcity of gold, this mechanism aims to counteract inflation that might be triggered by traditional central banks. What is the significance of Bitcoin's birth? Let's continue our exploration. On January 3, 2009, the Bitcoin Genesis block was mined, marking the birth of the first truly successful decentralized digital currency. It is not merely a new form of money, but also a large-scale decentralized financial experiment and payment network that has been running for more than a decade with enormous value. Bitcoin demonstrated to the world that, based on cryptography and distributed consensus, a reliable value transfer system can be established without the need for centralized trust institutions. The birth of digital currencies was by no means accidental. It represents a technological response to the pain points, low efficiency, high costs, and trust crisis of the existing financial systems. An inevitable outcome of the mature application of cryptography, the foundation of security, and distributed technology, the foundation of trust. A groundbreaking experiment in the forms of money, value transfer methods, and mechanisms of financial trust. Today we reviewed the long evolution of the forms of money, from shells to digits, where each transformation profoundly reflected the progress of human society. We focused on digital currencies, especially the background, driving forces, and technological foundation behind the birth of Bitcoin. Looking back at the development of digital currencies, we can see humanity's pursuit of a financial system that is more efficient, fair, and autonomous. This journey also carries profound insights. Science is the primary productive force, and innovation is the primary driving force for development. It was precisely breakthroughs in frontier technology such as cryptography and distributed computing that made the birth of digital currencies possible. This reminds us that we must keep pace with the times, work hard to learn scientific knowledge, and cultivate innovative thinking so that we can stand undefeated in the development of the future. Finally, please complete the following exercises. That's the end of today's lesson. See you next time.